I have been studying how I may compare this prison where I live unto the world. And because the world is populous, and here is not a creature but myself, I cannot do it. Yet, I'll hammer it out. My brain, I'll prove the female to my soul, and my soul the father, and these two beget a generation of still breeding thoughts. And these same thoughts people this little world. Huh? Hmm. Hmm. Old John of Gaunt. His face thou hast, for even so looked he. How is it with aged Gaunt? Old Gaunt indeed, and Gaunt in being old. How that name befits his composition. My gracious uncle. Tut, tut! Grace me no grace, nor uncle me no uncles. Oh, but they say the tongues of dying men enforce attention like deep harmony. Though Richard my life's counsel would not hear, my death's sad tale may yet undeaf his ear. No, it is stopped. Direct not him whose way himself will choose. 'Tis breath thou lackst, and breath that thou wilt lose. Thus, play I, in one person, many people, and none contented. Sometimes am I king, and then treasons make me wish myself a beggar. And so I am. Then, crushing penury persuades me I was better when a king. And then am I kinged again. And by think that I am unkinged by Bolingbroke and straight am nothing. But whate'er I be, no man that but man is with nothing shall be pleased till he be eased with being nothing. Come forth. I will not vex your souls, since presently my soul must part my body. Here, in the view of men, I will unfold some causes of my death. Henry Bolingbroke, our cousin. Huh. Ah. Observe his courtship to the common people. I thank you, my countrymen. What reverence he did throw away upon slaves, wooing poor craftsmen with the craft of smiles. Off goes his bonnet to an oyster wench. A bracing drayman bid God speed him well, and have a tribute of his supple knee, with thanks, my countrymen, my loving friends, as were our England in reversion his, and he our subjects next degree in hope. Oh, Richard, with the eye of heavy mind, I see thy glory like a shooting star fall to the base earth from the firmament. What doth our cousin Bolingbroke lay to Mowbray's charge? That all the treasons complotted and contrived in this land for these 18 year fetch from false Mowbray their first head and spring. Well, then call him to our presence. Ah. My name is Thomas Mowbray, who ready here do stand in arms to prove by God's grace and my body's valor that Bolingbroke is a traitor, foul and dangerous to God of heaven, King Richard, and to me. Pale trembling coward, there I throw my gage, thwap! If guilty dread have left thee so much strength as to take up mine honor's pawn, then stoop! I take it up, and hereby interchangeably hurl down my gage, thwap, upon this overweening traitor's foot. I take it up! What sayest thou to this? I do defy thee, and I spit at thee! Tuh! Call thee a slanderous coward and a villain! Ah! Ha! Stay! The king hath thrown his warder down. Wrath-kindled gentlemen, be ruled by me. We were not born to sue, but to command, which since we cannot do to make you friends, for that our kingdom's earth should not be soiled with that dear blood which it hath fostered, therefore we banish you our territories. You, cousin Henry, upon pain of life, till twice 5 summers have enriched our fields, shall not regret our fair dominions, but tread the stranger paths of banishment. For thee, Mowbray, remains a heavier doom. The sly, slow hours shall not determinate the dateless limit of thy dear exile. The hopeless word of never to return breathe I against thee upon pain of life. Confess thy treasons ere thou fly the realm. Since thou hast far to go, bear not along the clogging burthen of a guilty soul. A most heavy sentence, my most sovereign liege, and all unlooked for from your highness' mouth. If ever I were traitor, my name be blotted from the book of life, and I from heaven banished, as from hence. But what thou art, Bolingbroke, God, thou and I do know, and the king, I fear me, all too soon shall rue. And what says Bolingbroke? Your will be done. This must my comfort be. The sun that warms you here shall shine on me, and those to you his golden beams here lent shall point on me and gild my banishment. Old Uncle Gaunt, even in the glasses of thine eyes I see thy grieved heart. Thy sad aspect hath from the number of thy sons' banished years plucked 4 away. 6 frozen winters spent, return with welcome home from banishment. How long a time lies in one little word. 4 lagging winters and 4 wanton springs end in a word. Such is the breath of kings. I thank my liege that in regard of me, he shortens by 4 years my son's exile. But little vantage shall I reap thereby. Why, uncle, thou hast many years to live, but not a minute, king, that thou canst give. Shorten my days thou canst with sullen sorrow, and pluck nights from me, but not lend a morrow. Thou canst help time to furrow me with age, but stop no wrinkle in his pilgrimage. How long shall I be patient, huh? How long? Thy son is banished upon good advice. Cousin, farewell, and uncle, bid him so. 6 years we banish him, and he shall go. What is 6 winters? They are quickly gone. Call it a travel that thou takest for pleasure. All places that the eye of heaven visits are to the wise man ports and happy havens. Then England's ground. Farewell. Sweet soil. Adieu, my mother and my nurse that bears me yet. Where'er I wander, boast of this I can. Though banished, yet a true-born Englishman. Well, he is gone. Now, for the rebels which stand out in Ireland, expedient manage must be made. What shall we do for money for these wars? For our coffers are grown somewhat light. Our substitutes at home shall have blank charters, whereto, when they shall know what men are rich, they shall subscribe them for large sums of gold. And, as we hear, old Uncle Gaunt is grievous sick. Now put it, God, into the physician's mind to help him to his grave immediately. The lining of Gaunt's coffers shall make coats to deck our soldiers for these Irish wars. Will the king come, that I may breathe my last in wholesome counsel to his unstayed youth? Methinks I am a prophet, new inspired, and thus expiring do foretell of him. His fierce, rash blaze of riot cannot last. 1,000 flatterers sit within his crown, whose compass is no bigger than his head. And yet, encased in so small a verge, the waste is no whit lesser than his land. Why, uncle, for God's sake, speak comfortable words. What comfort, man? How is it with aged Gaunt? Ha! Within me, grief hath kept a tedious fast, and who abstains from meat that is not gaunt? For sleeping England long time have I watched. Watching breeds leanness. Leanness is all gaunt. The pleasure that some fathers feed on is my strict fast. Huh? I mean my children's looks. And therein fasting hast thou made me gaunt. Gaunt am I for the grave. Gaunt as the grave, whose hollow womb inherits not but bones. Sick men play so nicely with their names. His tongue is now a stringless instrument. Words, life, and all old Uncle Gaunt hath spent. So much for that. Now, for our Irish wars. For my designs crave haste, and my haste good hope. We will ourself in person to these wars. What? Are there posts dispatched from Ireland? Oh, cousin Richard. Bolingbroke. Cousin, I am too far gone with grief. Seek you to seize and gripe into your hands the rights and royalties of banished Henry. Is not Gaunt dead? And doth not Henry live? Was not Gaunt just? And is not Henry true? Did not the one deserve to have an heir? And is not his heir a well-deserving son? Oh, my liege, pardon me, if you please. If not, I please not to be pardoned, am content with all. If you do wrongfully seize my rights, you pluck 1,000 dangers upon your head, and prick my tender patience to those thoughts which honor and allegiance cannot think. Think what you will. We seize into our hands Gaunt's plate, his goods, his money, and his lands. Then thus, intelligence, that Bolingbroke, with 8 tall ships, 3,000 men at war, is making hitherward, and shortly means to touch our northern shore. The banished Bolingbroke repeals himself. God in heaven forbid. And yet, 'tis too true. And what is worse, the lords of Ross, Bowman, and Willoughby, and all the rest, revolted faction traitors, are fled to him with all their powerful friends. The commons, they are cold, for their love lies in their purses, and whoso empties them by so much fills their hearts with deadly hate. Wherein the king stands generally condemned, they will, I fear me, revolt on Henry's side. God for his mercy. What a tide of woes comes rushing on this woeful land at once. I cannot mend it, for that my power is weak. But if I could, by him that gave me life, how quickly should this arm of mine chastise him, administer correction to his fault. I had forgot myself. Am I not king? Awake, coward majesty, thou sleepst. Is not the king's name 20,000 names? To fear the foe, since fear oppresseth strength, gives in your weakness strength unto your foe, and so your follies fight against yourself. Arm, arm, my name, a puny subject, strikes at thy great glory. To stand upon my kingdom once again. Dear earth, I do salute thee, The rebels wound thee with their horses' hooves. As a long-parted mother plays with her child with tears and smiles in meeting, so I, weeping, smiling, greet I thee, my earth, and do thee favors with my royal hands. Feed not thy sovereign's foe, my gentle earth, but let thy spiders that suck up thy venoms and heavy-gated toads lie in their way, doing annoyance to the treacherous feet which with usurping steps do trample thee. Yield, stinging nettles, unto mine enemies, and when they from thy bosom pluck a flower, guard it, I pray thee, with a lurking adder, who with a double tongue may with mortal touch throw death upon thy sovereign's enemies. Mock not my senseless conjuration, lords. Have you forgot Henry Bolingbroke? Then learn to know him now. Why have those banished and forbidden legs dared once to touch a dust of England's ground? But then more why? Why have they dared to march so many miles upon her peaceful bosom? Thou art a banished man, and here art come before the expiration of thy time in gross rebellion and detested treason, a discomfortable cousin. Knowest thou not, as I was banished, Bolingbroke. But as I come for Lancaster. If that my cousin king be king of England, it must be granted that I am Duke of Lancaster, and hither am I come to claim my rights of free descent. Myself have stooped my neck under your injuries, eating the bitter bread of banishment, whilst you have fed upon my seigneuries, disparked my parks, and felled my forest woods, from my own windows tore my household coat, leaving me no sign, save men's opinions and my living blood, to show the world I am a gentleman, cousin. We thought ourselves thy lawful king. And if we be, how dare thy joints forget to pay their awful duty to our presence? Your grace mistakes. Only to be brief, left I your title out. Oh, the time hath been, would you have been so brief with me, I would have been so brief with you to shorten you your whole head's length. Mistake not, cousin, further than you should. Take not, good cousin, further than you should, lest you mistake the heavens are o'er our heads. Strives Bolingbroke to be as great as we? Greater he shall not be if he serve God. Henry Bolingbroke, on both his knees, doth kiss King Richard's hand, and sends allegiance and true faith of heart to his most royal person. Hither come, even at his feet, to lay my arms and power, provided banishment repealed and lands again be freely granted. If not, I'll use the advantage of my power to lay the summer's dust with showers of blood rain from the wounds of slaughtered Englishmen. The which, how far off from the mind of Henry Bolingbroke, his stooping duty tenderly shall show. Thus, the king returns. Henry Bolingbroke is right welcome hither, and all the number of his fair demands shall be accomplished without contradiction. We do debase ourselves. Do we not, dear queen? To look so poorly and to speak so fair. Dear queen. Dear queen. Huh. What is the matter, lady? Speak. Recover breath. Oh. We do debase ourselves, do we not, dear queen? To look so poorly and to speak so fair. Oh, for us to levy power proportionable to the enemy is all impossible. Should we call back the traitor Bolingbroke and send defiance to him and so die? No, my lord. Let's fight with gentle words till time lend friends and friends their helpful swords. Oh, God. Oh, God. That ere this tongue of mine that laid the sentence of dread banishment on yon proud man should take it off again with words of sooth. Oh, that I were as great as is my grief, or lesser than my name, that I could not remember what I have been, or not remember what I must be now. Oh, discomfort guides my tongue, and bids me speak of nothing but despair. Wise men ne'er sit and wail their woes, but presently prevent the ways to wail. And therefore, what sport shall we devise here in this garden to drive away the heavy thought of care? We'll play at cards. 'Twill make me think the world is full of tricks, and that the world tricks me. Oh, we'll dance. Oh. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da. My legs can no measure keep in delight, when my heart no measure keeps in grief. Therefore no dancing, girl. Oh, some other sport. Oh, we'll sing. A hungry feeling came o'er me stealing, and the mice were squealing in my prison cell. 'Tis well that thou hast cause to sing. Thou shouldst please me better wouldst thou weep. Oh, I could weep, madam. Would singing do me good? And I could sing. Would weeping do you good? And never borrow any tear of thee. Oh. Poor queen. Here did she fall a tear. Here, in this place. I'll set a bank of rue, sour herb of grace. Rue, even for Ruth, here shortly shall be seen in remembrance of a weeping queen. And so, we'll tell tales of sorrow or of joy. Oh, well, of comfort no man speak. Huh? Let's talk of graves, of worms and epitaphs. Let's choose executors and talk of wills. Ha! And yet not so. For what can we bequeath save our deposed bodies under the ground? Oh, our land, our lives, and all our bowling brooks. And nothing can we call our own but death. Oh, and that small model of the barren earth, which serves as paste and cover to our bones. Ah, for God's sake, let us sit upon the ground and tell sad stories of the death of kings. How some have been deposed, some slain in war, some haunted by the ghosts of those they have deposed, some poisoned by their wives. Oh, some sleeping killed, all murdered. Oh. For within the hollow crown that rounds the mortal temples of a king keeps death his court. And there the antic sits, scoffing his state and grinning at his pomp, allowing him a breath, a little scene to monarchize, be feared and kill with looks, infusing him with that self and vain conceit, as if this flesh which walls about our lives were brass, impregnable, and humored thus comes at the last, and with a little pin bores through his castle wall, and farewell, king. Cover your heads, and mock not flesh and blood with solemn reverence. Throw away respect, tradition, form, and ceremonious duty. For you but mistook me all this while. I live with bread, like you. Feel want, taste grief, need friends, subjected thus. How can you say to me, I am a king? I am a king. I am a king. And what must the king do now? Must he submit? The king shall do it. Must he be deposed? The king shall be contented. Must he lose the name of king? For God's name, let it go. I'll give my jewels for a set of beads, my gorgeous palace for a hermitage, my scepter for a palmer's walking staff, my gay apparel for an almsman's gown, and my subjects for a pair of carved saints, and my large kingdom for a little grave. Little grave, an obscure grave. Oh, dear queen. Think you then the king shall be deposed? Oh, think that I am dead, and that here thou takest, as from my deathbed, thy last living leave. What? Is my Richard, both in shape and mind, transformed and weakened? Hath Bolingbroke deposed thine intellect? Hath he been in thy heart? The lion dying thrusteth forth his paw and wounds the earth, if nothing else, with rage to be o'erpowered. And wilt thou, pupil-like, kiss the rod and fawn on rage with base humility? Thou, which art a lion and a king of beasts, think, dear love, to think our former state a dream, from which awake the truth of what we are is apparent. I am sworn, brother sweet, to grim necessity. Then must we be divided? Must we part? Aye. Hand from hand, my love, and heart from heart. One kiss shall sup our mouths, and dumbly part. Thus give I mine, thus take I thy heart. Love to Richard is a strange brooch in this all-hating world. Farewell at once, for now, and ever. Well, we may meet again. I fear me never. Oh, oh. Mm. Mm. Ahem. Uncle York. Yes. To do what service am I sent for hither? To do that office of thine own good will, which tired majesty did make thee offer. The resignation of thy state and crown to Henry Bolingbroke. Resignation? Yes. Alack. Why am I sent for to a king before I have shook off the regal thoughts wherewith I reigned? I hardly yet have learned to insinuate, flatter, bow, and bend my limbs. Give sorrow leave a while to tutor me to this submission. Yet, I well remember the favors of these men. Were they not mine? Did they not sometime cry, all hail to me? So Judas did to Christ. But he, in 12, found truth in all but one. I, in 12,000, none. God save the king. Well, no man say amen. Oh, am I both priest and clerk? Well, then amen. God save the king! Though I be not he, and yet amen. If heaven do think him me. Uncle York, give me the crown. Oh, yes. Here, cousin. Seize the crown. Here, cousin. On that side thy hand, on this side mine. Now is this golden crown like a deep well that owes two buckets, filling one another, the emptier ever dancing in the air, the other down, unseen and full of water. That bucket down and full of tears am I, whilst you mount up on high. I thought you had been willing to resign. My crown I am, but still my griefs are mine. My glories and my state you may depose, but not my griefs. Still am I king of those. Are you contented to resign the crown? I, oh, no. No, I, oh, for I most no thing be. Huh? Oh, therefore no, no. For I resign to thee. Now mark me, how I will undo myself. Oh, I give this heavy weight from off my head, and this unwieldy scepter from my palm. All pomp and majesty I do forswear. My manners, rents, revenues I forego. God, pardon all oaths that are broke to me. And God, keep all vows unbroke that swear to thee. Make me that nothing have with nothing grieved, and thou with all pleased that hast all achieved. Long mayst thou live in Richard's seat to sit, and soon lie Richard in an earthy pit. God save King Harry, unkinged Richard says, and send him many years of sunshine days. What more remains? Oh, no more. But that you read these accusations. Oh, and these grievous crimes committed by your person and your followers against the state and profit of this land, that by confessing that men's souls may deem you are worthily deposed. Must I do so? Must I ravel out my weaved up folly? My guilt be on my head and there an end. Would it not shame thee, in so fair a troop, to read a lecture of thy sins? Oh, if thou shouldst, there shouldst thou find one heinous article containing the deposing of a king. Oh, my lord, no lord of thine, thou hot insulting man. Oh, I have no name, no title. No, not that name was given me at the font, but 'tis usurped. Alack, the heavy day. But I have worn so many winters out and know not what name to call myself. Good king, great king, and yet not greatly good. And if my word be sterling yet in England, let it command a mirror hither straight, that it may show me what a face I have, since it is bankrupt of majesty. Read o'er the paper while the glass doth come. Fiend, thou torment'st me ere I come to hell. Oh, I'll read enough when I do see the very book indeed where all my sins are writ, and that's myself. Give me the glass, and therein will I read. Huh. Well, no deeper wrinkles yet. Hath sorrow struck so many blows upon this face of mine, and left no deeper wounds? Oh, flattering glass, will this beguile me? A brittle glory shineth in this face, as brittle as the glory is the face. For there it is, cracked in 1,000 shivers. Mark, silent king, the moral of this sport. How quickly my sorrow hath destroyed my face. Oh, the shadow of my sorrow hath destroyed the shadow of my face. And these external manners of lament are merely shadows to the unseen grief that swells with silence in the tortured soul. There lies the substance. I'll beg one boon, and then I'll trouble you no more. Shall I obtain it? Name it, fair cousin. Fair cousin. I am greater than a king. For when I was a king, my flatterers were then but subjects. Being now a subject, I have a king to be my flatterer. God save thee, King Bolingbroke. Well, being so great, I have no need to beg. And shall I have? Then give me leave to go. Set on towards London Tower. Is it so? Yea, my lord. And I must not say no. Uncle York, a word? Didst thou not mark King Bolingbroke? What words he spoke? Have I no friend will rid me of this living fear? Were those not his words? He spake it twice. Have I no friend will rid me of this living fear? He urged it twice, and urging it twice together, looked fondly on me. Hence away. To Richard's knight, from Bolingbroke's fair day. Things past redress are now with me past care. Thoughts tending to content, they do flatter themselves that I am not the first of fortune's fools, nor shall not be the last. And in this thought I find a kind of ease. Thoughts tending to ambition, they do plot unlikely wonders. How these vain, weak nails may tear a passage through these flinty ribs of this hard little world, like ragged prison walls. And for they cannot die in their own pride. And 'tis thought the king is dead. And the bay trees of our country all are withered. Lean-looked prophets whisper fearful change. And such signs forerun the death of kings. King Bolingbroke, thy fierce hand will with the king's blood stain the king's own land. Villain, thy own hand yields thy death's instrument. More welcome is the stroke of death to me than Bolingbroke is to England. Go now and fill another room in hell. The king's own land. Richard's land. This royal throne of kings. This sceptered isle. This earth of majesty. This seat of Mars. This other Eden. Demi-paradise. This fortress built by nature for herself against infection and the hand of war. This happy breed of men. This little world. This precious stone set in the silver sea that serves it in the office of a wall, or as a moat defensive to a house against the envy of less happier lands. This blessed blot, this earth, this realm, this England, this nurse, this teeming womb of royal kings, this land of such dear souls, this dear, dear land. Dear for a reputation throughout the world. England, bound in with the triumphant sea, whose rocky shore beats back the envious surges of watery Neptune, is now bound in with shame, with inky blots and rotten parchment bonds. That England that was wont to conquer others hath made a shameful conquest of himself. That the scandal would vanish with my life, how happy then were my ensuing death. Great King Bolingbroke, within this coffin I present my buried fear. Herein all breathless lies the mightiest of thy greatest enemies. King Richard,